So I think you kind of mentioned this already, Jesse, but did Joseph exceed expectations? Were you surprised by his performance Friday night?
I mean, I I mean, I'm not like surprised, not really. Like we've ran good, we've led a big race there. I mean, dang near coulda, shoulda won it. I feel like so against a stout field. The first Hunt the Front race that we had last year,
Right.
like that field was stellar,
Yeah.
and we were out front. So and then the podium finishes at the end of the that year with
The
XR.
XR.
Like,
Yep.
I mean,
2022.
so I'm not. I feel like he did what I think we knew he could do. What we could do on the night one. That's what I think. I don't feel like he exceeded. I think that's
I
what we
don't
were hoping we could go
I don't
do.
care where it is. It could be Southern Raceway, our home track, right? Like you're still like those guys are the professionals, right? The top. There's no one better, right? And Pierce wasn't there, so you could argue that, but there's no one better than the guys that were there that night. And I don't care, what track it is and how good Joseph is at that track. He's still like I think that you're still going there and the odds are stacked against you, right? Like I
For
mean, we
sure.
saw it. Look at one, these are the most talented drivers, the Davenports, the RTJs, Shepherd and all them. But then you also look across there, we were part right in a row there, Shepherd, Davenport, and then us. And how many people they have running around
Yeah.
those
Hmm.
cars, and how many of
A lot.
great minds did they have working on those cars? Like no, I don't think that. I mean, to go and line up against those, you're going to try to hope and make the show.
Right.
Right.
Is the realistic expectation. I think anyone who thinks, our team where we are can go and, should, I don't say can, but should go and beat those guys or even run top five, top 10 with those guys, you don't understand the state of the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's not
and,
just, I see it a lot in the comments. Well, you got all that equipment. What's your excuse? Well, A, there's no excuse. We're not making excuses. But B, believe me, just because every guy there has the equipment. There's very few, what was it, 50 cars? 40 of them have the just as good as equipment as everybody. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, yeah, it's, but as far as the expectations, you worry every time. If perfect example is Saturday night, like like you're worried every time you go to a race like that and you race that level of competition. You worry that you're going to do what we did Saturday night and just absolutely stink. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody that if you race with those guys, you're going to have good nights where you run well, like we did Friday night, and you're going to have terrible nights where you are you can't get out of your own way. That's just part of it. And I just wanted to go down there and have at least a good run. And I was worried it was going to be a battle to do that. You know what I mean? And it is. Joseph's good there. We had a good draw Friday night, laid down a good lap, looked good in our heat race, run well in the feature.
Yeah.
That's a lot harder to do than you think, you know?
I, well, I agree with everything y'all are saying. It is definitely hard to go run with them guys, but at the same time, we also have been saying this might be our best chance to win a national touring race is at Alltech. So that's where I'm at with it. It's like, yeah, it's absolutely hard to go line up against these guys and run with them, but I do feel like Friday night's what we were hoping for. That's kind of what we were hoping.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan, you said it multiple times. The Alltech is going to be our best shot to win a national touring race. You felt like,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at. That's why I say he did what we wanted him to do or what we needed to do Friday night.
I feel like winning a heat race, running up front, competing for a top five, no surprise there at all. But, getting out there, reaching out there and trying to race RTJ for the lead,
Yeah, that was good.
that kind
That
of
was
got my
good.
attention. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then for a second, you're like, "Dadgum,
There's a glimmer of hope.
It reminded you of the crate races we've gone and won there. Where
Mhm.
Joseph just all of us, there's good competition. It's going to be hard to win this race. But then Joseph,
Yeah.
here he is, gets on a roll, gets going, and he's done it a couple times in the crate down there, just went and beat them. And it's like, my gosh, he's going to do it here to these guys in a super late model Lucas Oil Series just for 2 laps. I'm like, here it is, boys. I told
Dude,
y'all.
I agree. It reminded me of watching some of the crate races when Joseph just comes up, not leading the race, chases down the leader. Like when the Whitener was leading one time, runs him
Yeah.
down, passes him, and goes on to win. I was like, crap. Like I had a what do you call it, like a flashback
You're
or
seeing
something.
visions of Joseph
Yeah,
in
like
victory
holy
lane.
crap. And then it didn't work out that way.
Which leads me to my next question. We did say if Joseph's going to win one of these races, a national race, Alltech is probably one of the, if you're going to put money on somewhere he's going to do it, it would be Alltech. Do y'all think Is it in the cards? Is Joseph going to, if you had to put money, a significant amount, one way or the other, is he going to win a national tour race before it's all said and done? Does he have that in him in his career path to make that happen? You think?
I think
Go
one
ahead.
day, but okay, so I think we don't run with them enough to get the odds in our favor. You
Yeah.
know, that's one thing that's working against us. Uh, it's possible though. I ain't gonna say he ain't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could hit and be on, and you know, he can be just as fast as those guys, and to come out on top one day, I think it's possible. I don't know when or where, but the odds are against us because we don't race with them every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We also don't get them at our true home track ever.
Right.
That's what I was gonna say. I think the odds being against you is, one, we don't get them at, we're talking about Alltech and getting them at there and Sonoa and Talladega. And while, yeah, we race there, those aren't Southern Raceway, Deep South Speedway, Northwest Florida Speedway are Joseph's home tracks,
Home
and where
tracks.
he's, really is like better, has an advantage, a home track advantage. Those other tracks, there's like he's got more laps around Southern Raceway than probably anyone in a late
Mm-hmm.
model, right? And has won more races there than probably at this point anyone
Anyone.
in a late
Yeah.
Yeah.
model. Whereas I mean, Alltech, he's really, doesn't have, there's no seat time advantage at any of those other tracks, right? Maybe over the national guys that come in there, but really they race there a lot too, right?
Yeah,
Those
I
are
would
tracks they
if
race there a
you'd
lot.
have to go back and look, but I don't imagine he's got any more races there than Davenport or RTJ, maybe
Yeah,
3 or 4 more, and
right.
I mean,
not
and
super
that's only because of
races.
crate.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and
So,
the other thing you're getting the races that we're running, Alltech is probably always going to be during speed weeks,
mhm,
right? And unless things change, um, you're going to have that's going to be. It's not like the races when they come to the South into our area, the national tours. They're running. They're going to be events that only they barely get over a full field,
yeah,
right? Like some of the tracks they go to up north, and even when they venture out really into the far Midwest, the upper Midwest, and out that way, there's tracks they go to that they 30 cars, they're struggling to get 30 cars, and
right,
there's 7, 8, maybe more of them that aren't really you know
yeah.
aren't on par
You're
with
getting the
national
best,
touring.
pretty much
Yeah,
the
we're
best you're
getting
gonna see at the other than
yes.
Eldora at these speed weeks races.
Every time they come into the South, it's like every really good driver from the Southeast is there. Plus, all a lot of national touring, sometimes from both series there. So I think it kind of stacks the odds against you.
Yeah,
It'd be really nice if they'd come to somewhere, if they'd come to Southern Raceway, because one, you're not going to get a ton of cars there, right?
mhm.
And so you're,
We have a
and
definite
Joseph's really good
advantage
there.
there as well.
Yeah,
So did
maybe
y'all
we'll.
answer my question? I think y'all sort of evaded it.
I said, may like
It's a
I
yes or
think
no
it's
question,
possible.
Jesse.
Yes, I think one day before his career's over, he's gonna get one. Yes.
Joshua.
I think so. I think yes too. Like I think we're really invested in this, and I think we're gonna keep growing. And it's gonna take some time, and as a team, y'all are and Joseph are still learning and getting better. But I think we can get there. So I'd say yes eventually, as long
Yeah,
as we keep doing what we're doing.
right. I would agree with that. As long as we can, keep on the trajectory we are on, that yeah, it will happen. It would be nice if we had more opportunities. The national guys barely even race in the South anymore, other
Yeah.
than speed
Right.
weeks and the World Outlaws a handful of times later in the year. So you don't get a lot of opportunities, but I do think it will happen.